Hey guys, Choi here of the House of Black Dragon Society. Jesus Christ, so if you guys watched the couple of videos before this, so you see how cold it is today. But I want to get this video filmed because, well, to be honest, I need to get my head rolling and also body moving so I don't freeze to death. And I could try to figure out the next course of action for my life. So, the subject, as you're probably seeing, the Bowie knife, the Arkansas toothpick. What's the biggest differences and what do I use to classify as a Bowie knife? So this is going to be a very difficult subject of discussion because everybody's definition of a Bowie is different. And to be honest, there really wasn't a relative term to define what is a Bowie. Any big knife was in the old days since the 1900s were considered as a Bowie knife. And even a small knife was advertised as a Bowie knife. So there's that. But how I classify Bowie knife is from the conversations that I had with the late Mr. Bagwell and from the teachings of my teacher, Master Arms James A. Keating. Both gentlemen, sadly Mr. Bagwell passed away last year. Condolences. And very sad, but you know, it's like COVID, it kind of took a lot of our greats and great minds. So may he rest in peace. And Uncle Jim obviously is my mentor and my teacher and my friend for the last 2 decades plus, who's been my counsel to help me make the logical and sane decisions in some of the most craziest moments of my life. So thank you, Uncle Jim. Hopefully everything's well. So how I define a Bowie knife, this is a Bowie knife. So what I have here, guys, is the windlass permanent Bowie, which was the Bowie that Uncle Jim recommended to me when, back in the old days, around 2005 to around 2012, before there was another boom of Bowie knives. Finding a Bowie knife was near impossible. So what we would do is we'd grab whatever we can and mod those. And one of the things that we did grab and mod, or in my case, was the windlass Bowie. It was never this nice, but as the years went on to decades, I really got good at crafting. So in the end, this is the aftermath of what came to be. And Uncle Jim even has one of the earlier windlass Bowies that I customized by using some of the minor stuff, and Daniel edged it. That's what made that particular thing super crazy awesome, along with the kydex that was made by Kyle and gang at K-Rounds in the old days. So, no further ado, let's take a look at this. So this is G Innovations. The correct name was Helen. Hell, as in hell, Jigoku no hell, and N as in fire. So Helen, but some of my students have said, gee, just for the love of Christ, just stop using Japanese and English together and just use full English. So we're calling this Hellfire modification for the G Innovations, if you're looking to get this type of modification on your Bowie knife. So obviously you can see the first thing you'll notice is custom leather sheath with a hidden belt loop and the belt stud. Belt stud, reason why is during my many conversations with Mr. Bagwell, around the time, especially when I got my first Bagwell custom blade, and it was kind of funny thing, I'll tell you, that particular incident, that one. So I called him up after. It was my good friend Pete Groft, who, shout out to Pete. If you're alive, my brother, how are you? Hopefully everything's well. I haven't spoken to Pete in years, so I hope he's well. He gave me the number for Mr. Bagwell, and I called him up, and ironically, he picked up. Now, Pete warned me what would happen when I talk with Mr. Bagwell. He says, gee, stick with the guns, especially the black powder stuff if you can, because that's how you get to really talk with the old man. I said, okay. And he also warned me beforehand that Mr. Bagwell will not make a blade for me that doesn't fit my physique. That's the unique thing about Mr. Bagwell. So when I called him, I called to inquire to see if I could have him custom craft me a Hell's Bell after acquiring one of his custom knives. And we talked, and he asked me to measure my arm's length, my hands, and also my height. And he told me, and like I told him, you know, Mr. Bagwell, sir, my teacher, who's a mutual friend of yours also, is Master Arms James A. Keating, and I would love to have a Hell's Belt like his. And his exact word was like, no, it won't fit you. And I said, what do you mean, sir? It's like, well, that was made for Keating. It's your size won't work. And he told me that the length that's correct and appropriate for my body shape and physique and my length of hand and my reach was actually about 9 7/5 inches. So 9 3/4 of an inch would be what is appropriate for me. That's how that conversation ended. So no disrespect, because, well, he's a master smith, so he has every right to determine what he makes for who. So that's how that conversation ended with Mr. Bagwell. And fast forward, I'm pretty much using any blades that I like, and personally I still do it. It's a Bowie knife. Mr. Bagwell stated that anything about over, he said, in his book he mentions it 9 inches and above, but when we were talking, he said a Bowie knife should be at least about 8 to 10, 8 to 11 inch about in blade length, if it for correct application. When we're talking about that, he actually did concur that it should be longer as possible than shorter. So what I had though was just a shy of an 8 inch of a blade, and it still worked wonders. So there's that. All right, going into this, G Innovation single ridge wrap in hemp cord, lacquered. This thing's bomb-proof, guys. It will not come loose. And it, like all my hemp cord wraps, it has that traction. So this is the reason why it's very sought after when this type of modification is sought after by my students and anyone who handles my blades. Genuine kangaroo leather, because, well, I'm a Floro fighting systems instructor. Shout out to Ray. How are you, bro? And Ray was, there was a video where Ray's showing how to use a kangaroo leather for a cane lanyard. And when I saw that, God damn it, I had to get me some of those. So luckily, my students are awesome. So they managed to find me some kangaroo leather, and I managed to cut that into a lanyard just long enough for this. And it works great for FFS applications. So I'm sure you guys are all wondering for the blade, so it's coming. There you go. So the blade, this thing's got almost close. Now this is an older windlass, so it might be slightly different than the newer ones, because I've noticed that the newer windlass actually are slightly a bit shorter. Guys, this is almost close to 13 inches in blade length. So this is the reason why it's so long. And with the lanyard, it's kind of very difficult to execute the back cuts. I'm just gonna do my usual modification when I have to. So there's that. There's that. So back cuts is generally, if you do the whole compact, so 4 curves. So that's what I love about back cuts. Oh my god, absolutely love this. So forward curving, when you do snap cuts though, forward curving cuts, my god, having a lanyard and not having a lanyard makes a world of a difference. For example, if I do with lanyard, forward cuts, so carving cuts, it's almost effortless. And I could throw that from good old FFS and EKI guard right here. So FFS guard, and this thing is, oh my god, it's like you won't see it coming until it hits you. That's what I love about it. And the back cuts too, you could do a minor, but because the lanyard anchors your wrist and hand into like a fixed cast, it makes it slightly difficult to roll your wrist for the third back cut right there, but man, that's like, works great. So on my mods, I always put, there's always that void between the guard and the blade. So what I do is I fill this one with steel epoxy, so it's literally solid, it won't come loose. And that's it. Now what I love about that, so on a Bowie, going into what I classify as a Bowie, for me at least, it's gotta be at least 10 inch or longer. Second is the clip. Bowie knife, in my definition, is the blade shape is a clip point with, on this one, because my good friend Daniel Melly, shout out to Daniel, how are you my friend? Hopefully you have a wonderful day and happy holidays ahead. I'll come and visit soon. I got a couple blades that have to get it edged by him soon too on that one. Epicurean edges, my friends, the best. So this is the forward edge, and the back edge is, well, generally on Bowie knives, as Mr. Bagwell used to say, it's sharp, but it doesn't have to be razor sharp. But on Daniel's, this is razor. Sorry guys, I still suck at camera. Oh my god. So, a Bowie knife, in how I classified, at least 10-inch blade. 2, a guard. I absolutely fucking hate S-guard. I'm not kidding when I tell you guys this. So, reason why I hate the S-guard is the following. A forward curving guard or even a flat guard will stop the attack in its track. S-guard invites the bloody attack into you. So this is the reason why I've never been a big fan of the S-guard. And as for the rear guard on this thing, I hate to say this, but some windlass you get a curve, some they don't. On this one it didn't come like that because it's an older one. And this one I would have a very difficulty in trapping for disarms. But on that, I'll show you another blade that is specifically designed for that. But there you go guys, a Bowie knife, my classification, at least a 10-inch blade, fighting guard, and a good grip or good handle. For fighting an FFS application, lanyard is a must. And another good classification, what all Bowie knives should have to house it, is a leather sheath with a belt stud. That's according to the late Mr. Bagwell. And it's also the way that my teacher, Master Arms James A. Keating, prefers to carry a Bowie. And according to what Mr. Bagwell used to say, was this is the only way to carry a Bowie knife. Thanks guys, and stay tuned for the next video, which I will explain on a different type of knife that also is considered as a Bowie in many ways. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you guys have a wonderful day.